welcome to Vicky Makes and Builds. Right, I want to start out this video with a thank you. I am aware I've not put up a video for a good few weeks, and I want to thank you all for being patient with me while you waited for the next video. And I also want to thank those of you who have actually got in touch with me to find out how I'm doing, because I haven't really been kind of keeping people updated either, and just to reassure you that I'm all fine and good, but I do appreciate that concern and, you know, people reaching out to ask me how I'm doing, so, and it's really lovely, so thank you so much for that. So I'm going to explain just now the reason why I have been somewhat absent from the channel. Firstly, my children have been off school. They've been on their half-term break just recently, so I've been spending a lot of time with them, and it's meant I've not been able to do a great deal of puzzling. But the second reason is that I have been working on the puzzle for this video, which is a biggie, and which has taken me quite a lot of time to do and to edit for. So I do hope that you all think that the wait was worth it though, because this is part 2 of my big dream puzzle, my Educa wildlife puzzle. It's the part 2 video in the series of the 33,600 piece puzzle, and I've done part 1 already, section 1, which was the left-hand section, and if you haven't actually seen the video for that, I do encourage you to go and have a look at it, because it's just an awesome puzzle. Even just that one section looks so amazing. And I also explain a bit about the bag numbering system with this puzzle, which is completely bonkers. So I explain a little bit about that as well. So I'll just give you some good background into the puzzle that I'm working on. If you haven't seen part 1, you can go and have a look at that. I'll pop the link in the description. So although it's part 2 of the whole series on the giant puzzle, the 33k puzzle, this is actually part 1 of a double section. Yes, I have mixed 2 of the sections together. Section 2 and 3, which are the next 2 along from the one I've already done, and you probably think I'm going a bit crazy doing that, given how difficult and challenging the first section was. Deciding to mix the next 2 sections was perhaps a bit bonkers, but nevertheless, I did it. I've already mixed the bags, and I'm going to build the 2 sections together. So that will be 6,720 pieces that I'm going to be building, but I'm going to be building it over 2 videos. So this video is kind of roughly the first half of those 2 sections. So although it's part 2 of the series overall, it's the first half of this double section. I'm hoping that makes sense. So I'm just going to dive in to the moment that I actually mixed the bags, which was a feat in and of itself. Had to overcome some major trepidation there, but I'm just going to stop talking now. I'm going to dive straight into this awesome puzzle. I hope you enjoy. Okay, here goes. I'm about to mix bag 2 and 3 of the Educa wildlife puzzle. This one is already open because I opened it before I started the puzzle to ascertain whether or not this was the first section, because this is the highest numbered bag, and as I explained in the last video, the highest numbered bag isn't the far left section, it's actually section 2. So the bag's been opened and even partially sorted, although not very much. But this one has yet to be opened. I'm about to open it, and I am about to mix the 2 bags. I think I might have gone insane. But anyway, let's just do it. This table really is not big enough for over 6,000 pieces, but I like the white background when I first start these puzzles. So I'm now emptying bag number 2, and you'll notice I haven't mixed them yet. They are still separate piles. I feel safe. Oh God. Here we go. I'm very hesitant now. Now that the time has come to do it, I'm so hesitant. Yee! Oh, okay. Stop saying okay and just do it. Ah! Ah! Okay, I better not close my eyes because I'm going to end up dropping all the pieces on the floor. Oh my God, they're mixed. Ah, I just got a sinking feeling in my chest. Oh my. You know, I didn't even have that feeling when I mixed the 9,000 piece puzzle. There's less pieces in here. I'm so nervous about this. Oh my. Well, I did say I might mix some of the sections, so I don't want to make myself a fibber. I have mixed 2 of the sections. We'll see how this goes, and if it's my worst nightmare, I won't do it again. There's plenty more bags that I can do and not mix them. So anyway, I'm just going to give them a good rummage and mix them around. Try my hardest to get them all kind of jumbled without dropping any off the side of the table. I will do sorting probably on this table, but I think I'll need to kind of put some of the pieces in another box while I'm doing it, because this just takes up most of the table. So, there we go. That is it mixed. I better start the sorting. Right, so here are the sorted piles. Firstly, we've got the edges, followed by this tiny pile here, which is the lemur, which is sitting on the tree. Then we've got flamingo pieces, we've got butterfly pieces, we've got some bird's wings and some purple pieces, light purple pieces that got thrown in there. We've got yellow and orange pieces, which will be bird's wings and possibly some butterflies. We've got some dusky pink kind of sky that's in the background behind the trees. We've got snake pieces. We've got leopard and deer pieces. There's zebra pieces. These are purple pieces, which will cover various things, but mostly the monkeys up in the tree. Then we've got white and light coloured pieces. We've got pink flower pieces. These ones are red flower pieces. Then we have water pieces and lion pieces, both of which will need to be sorted down further. And then there's a box of partially sorted green pieces alongside some dark pieces. And then lastly, there's the box of green pieces that I just haven't finished sorting yet. Right, okay, so I have put together a lot of the flamingos, if not all of them. So I was at this point going to move it over to the board, but then I sort of... I'm reluctant to move it yet, and I think what I'm going to do, because this puzzle is so detailed and there are so many different parts to it, and it's going to take a while before it all starts to kind of come together as in whole sections. What I'm going to do instead is just move sections off the table, which I have done. I've moved all the butterflies off, which are now down there. So just create space until there's really no more space that I can use on the table, or well, just till the sections just start getting bigger and bigger and I can actually lay it out on the board and it looks like a puzzle that's coming together. So I've put together the leopard pieces and some of the deer, which are there. There's a few kind of floating ones, but I think a lot of these pieces are now going to be in the pile of pieces that make up the lions. So the lion pieces are quite a big pile, and they are here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a second sort on these and try and find as many as I can like that. See, I've just found one straight away of the leopard and of the deer. Okay, so I've done a wee bit of a more detailed sort on the lion pieces, so I'm just going to really briefly go through that. On this sheet here, I've got lion pieces where the fur's really dark and shadowed. This one here is pieces with a little bit of the dragonfly on that's flying in front of the lions, which you can see just there. So that's not a very big pile, and I think there's some of those possibly in one of the other piles, which I'll go through in a minute. That's a little pile of pieces with what I could ascertain as like facial features on the lions. So there's some eyes, some mouth, some whiskers in that pile there. That pile is any pieces where you can see the edge of a lion and then like the background beside it. And then over here we've just got really light coloured pieces. And these ones here are all pieces that I've sorted by shape. So if you remember from the first video on this puzzle, section 1, I discovered that these shapes here with the 3 ins and 1 out, and these shapes here with the 3 outs and 1 in, they always go beside each other in lines running down the puzzle, and they essentially separate it into sections where the pattern repeats. And I've not done that up to now, but I have been using that to help me because I just know that they will always go next to each other. There was a line of them in the flamingos, which made it obvious, you know, where those pieces went, but I've not actually physically separated them out until now. I just kind of thought this would help with the lines because they make up a really goodly chunk of that second section, a really big chunk. So I thought that maybe that would help me put these lines together. So that's what those pieces are there. I've separated a small pile here of pieces that I think belong to butterfly wings or bird wings, which I've just thrown in the lion pile because they've been sort of yellow in colour. And yeah, so I think that is it. And I'll have a go at these lions. Okay, I think the time has come for me to transfer over to the board. I think that I was just a little too ambitious thinking I could do these lines on this table. They're a big, big chunk. And there are just so many other sections that are appearing that aren't lion pieces that I could probably attach to other sections now. So, but you know, all the sections are kind of all over the place on the table or over on boards. So I think what I'm going to do now is just move all these pieces off and move all the little sections that I've done off the table and get this board on the table and take it from there. I think that's the only way I'm going to be able to move forward now with any kind of ease. It's all just a bit messy and kind of squished, and it's hard to tell what's where and, you know, put things in its right place, because I just don't really have enough space now. So, yep, time to transfer, I think. Well, phew, the lions are more or less done. They're really filled out now. I've got a few gaps, a couple of gaps there, and a couple in the sort of ear section of this lion here. I don't think there are any more of the left side of this lion. That seems to be the edge, but I do have some more lion pieces in here. Most of them are just kind of edge of the lion pieces, but some of them aren't. They're kind of full blocks of colour. This was kind of my unintended choice of section to do next, but I'm really glad I did, because what that's done is really helped to fill out these animals here as well. So I've got, you know, this leopard / cheetah, not sure which one it is. This cat here it does actually look like a cat now. It's got a face and a body, and this deer's really filled out as well. This one, I've not really done its legs, but I do have a bit of its head there floating and ear, and there are some more loose pieces here where its legs are. So I'm going to try and fit some more of those in. That's the leopard's tail there that's not attached yet. So my next step really is, because I've still got some leftover pieces and I've got leftover lion pieces as well, what I'm going to try and do is just try and get rid of some of the leftovers, and I'm going to try and kind of focus on these animals a little bit, because I was a bit back and forth, but I was mostly just focusing on these lions. So I'm going to try and kind of get these filled out and a bit more done. At the same time, try and get rid of some of the leftover pieces. And what I'm also going to do, in order to try and find like these two here, I think that because they appear to be quite light coloured pieces, I think they might have ended up in my light coloured pieces pile, which is here. So I'm going to have another quick rummage through those. I had a rummage earlier and picked out all these white flowers, and that's really filled out a good chunk as well. So that's really the pile that I'm kind of picking at the most without really focusing on it too much. But it is a bit of a miscellaneous pile, so that makes sense. So I'm going to look in there again, and I think I may find perhaps some of these really light coloured pieces of this leopard and these two pieces here that are not filled in yet on the lion's face, and try and just whittle down the leftovers, whittle down that pile a bit. And then once they are done, I am going to tackle this pile here, which is all my sort of purpley coloured pieces, which again is a bit miscellaneous, but the vast majority of these pieces are the monkeys up in the tree, which I will show you on the poster. They're the monkeys there on that branch. So once I've really kind of dug into that pile, it's going to be, this is hopefully going to be really filled out. I'm probably going to have this gorilla here quite filled out, maybe a bit of this bull, and some of this water here, which has some purple in it. I've kind of already got a few purple pieces of that down here. So that's going to be another one that really fills parts of this out, and I think that's going to really make this puzzle start to look a bit more whole. So yeah, so that's my plan next. So we're going to just dig into the leftovers, dig into this light coloured pieces, fill out some gaps, and then I'm going to have a go at these purple pieces. Right, okay, so this puzzle really is, it's coming together, but I'm starting to feel just a little bit frustrated at the kind of persistent floaty nature of it. Now the bottom section is filling out, definitely. We've got some areas attached, like these ones here. We've got a big chunk of the lions, and I've managed to attach this gorilla to the lions. The monkeys are definitely filled out, but I was starting to kind of slow down with that. There were obviously pieces I didn't have in the pile that I've been looking for, and there must be in other piles. And it was a bit of a miscellaneous pile because I was finding pieces in there that belonged to this rhino. And even some of these purple pieces were the leopard or cheetah, whichever it is, where it's sort of shadowed here and it's kind of this purpley shade. So, you know, there's definitely sections and areas growing, but it's just still very bitty. I still have all these butterflies, which are essentially just 2, 3 and 4 pieces put together, that I can't really kind of put into the wider puzzle. And it makes it quite difficult to figure out what my actual progress is, roughly, you know, when I've reached a halfway mark or whatever. So I think what I'm going to try and do is something I hadn't expected to do at this stage. I'm going to start looking at these water pieces. Now, the water pieces were the biggest pile aside from greens. And sort of similar to the lions, really. I didn't expect to do the lions as soon as I did, but doing the lions served a real purpose because it helped me also to fill out these other sections that I'd started, but that were just, I barely really had them sort of done or filled out. And the water pieces, I think, are going to serve a wee bit the same purpose. There's a lot of pieces still missing from these areas, and also from around the edge of the lions, like here. Where it's water, but also a little bit of other animals as well. There'll be some flamingo pieces, there'll be some leopard, there'll be some lions, there'll be, you know, all sorts of different animals. But essentially what I'd really like to do is just really get this puzzle looking more together than it is. Now, these two sections really do have a huge chunk in the middle where it's opened out and there's just water. And all these birds are flying in front of the water, and you've got all these other birds just standing in the water, and butterflies kind of flying about above the water. So, and at the minute, they're all just there, just at the side. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do a resort on this pile of water pieces. I'm going to sort out different textures, like bubbly areas of water here, where it'll probably be somewhere like down here where there's like a little waterfall. I'm going to sort out different textures like that, other textures where the water's kind of still like that, and I'm also going to pull out pieces where there's a bit of animal that you can see alongside the water, whether it be a dragonfly or a bit of the leopard or the lions. But there's a lot of pieces with kind of bits of animal on, and a lot of different textures to be sorted out here. So I'm going to just do another resort on this pile of water pieces. And once I have done that, I'm going to start filling in gaps, the areas where I'm missing pieces of an animal around the edges, and then I'm going to start actually putting together some sections of water, probably this area here, which will really fill out this bit, and this waterfall here, which will really mean I can put these butterflies in and just make a big section where it's amalgamated a bit better. One thing I might also have to do as a result of doing the sections of water is I may have to turn the puzzle around. So because my board is landscape, but these sections are portrait, they will, I think, fit side by side in this direction, and there'd be space for them height-wise and also width-wise. But at the moment, they won't fit height-wise this way around. Now, I really would like to build the puzzle landscape so that when you're looking at the footage, it's all the right way up. But I'm running out of space. You can see I don't really have enough space to fit everything in where it's supposed to go. I've got this little area in the middle. Lions take up a lot of room. So what I'm thinking I might do is start to turn the puzzle round, actually have the puzzle sitting that way. And we'll see how that works. Hopefully it'll give me more space to work in. And then as the puzzle grows and things, I won't have a lot of choice but to do that, because it would just be too big to have it sitting like this. I would need to have parts overlapping and stuff. So I'm going to also do a little bit of shifting about as well. But yeah, it's really, really coming together, but it's just not filled out enough for me. There's too many floaty bits. So I'm going to fix that and get going on this water. Right, so tackling some of the water pieces, it hasn't quite happened to the scope I was intending, but it definitely has filled out quite a few of the sections, really kind of joined them together a bit more. So in particular, this bottom corner, sort of filtering out these splashy areas of water where there's like bubbles and where there's waterfalls, has like filled out this bit quite nicely, and we've got the edges of the animals in a lot more now. This tail here on this big cat is a lot more filled out. We've got kind of more of the edge of the lion's done. But because you know, a lot of these animals are flying over the water, I was filling out with the pieces where there was some water on it and some animal, I was filling out all these floaty bits as well. So, you know, the butterflies and the dragonflies are kind of more complete for the most part now. And especially over here, I've just got a lot more kind of complete birds. And here where I've picked out these specific kind of dividing pieces, I've managed to even get a couple of the sections together. So it's sort of each floaty bit is growing bigger, which is great. But what ended up happening was it sort of turned into a bit of a gap filling exercise where I was going back over my leftover pieces, which I've got on a board down there. You can just see in the distance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break from the water. I'm going to go through all these light coloured pieces and just try and tackle this pile as a standalone pile, because so far all I've really done is dipped in and out of this pile, and it has gone down. But the more I'm finding bits that I recognise, the more I'm thinking it might be worthwhile now just actually tackling this pile as a standalone pile and working on some of these white birds which are flying around. And there's quite a few of them, if I can find the poster. So you've got, for example, these two birds here, which are quite big, these wading birds, which sort of attach nicely to this tail here. Then we've got this, looks like a cockatoo or something, flying up there. Then there's a couple of birds here that are sort of whitish in colour. And I really think that that's just gonna, all these things are just gonna help keep filling it out, filling it out, filling it out. So, and then, you know, hopefully I'll whittle down those pieces enough to find other light coloured pieces that perhaps I'm missing, perhaps a couple from this rhino at the top. The neck of this flamingo is still missing. There's a couple of the flower pieces missing, that sort of thing. This horn on this bull and the lemur. So yeah, it's just more just filling it out. But I'm gonna actually now tackle these birds if I can, out of this light coloured piece pile. So I'm just gonna get on with that just now. So there was just one more bit I wanted to do before I kind of wrap this up. So I'd like to do a bit more gap filling. I've not done that in a while. Having done a few more sections, I've now got some more leftover pieces which are down there on that board. So I'm going to do some gap filling with those, and the last thing I'm going to do is to have a rummage through this pile, which I haven't really touched yet. This is all the kind of dark and black pieces that I think largely have bits of kind of creeper on and vines and tree trunk and stuff. But I also think that a lot have got mixed up in here that belong to, for example, the monkeys, which I was never really quite satisfied got done sort of fully enough. There's still a few floaty bits that could do with attaching. And I think maybe a few belong to these birds too. I mean, really, this top section of the puzzle is still the most bitty. And I think doing these red hanging flowers has really helped with that. But I think if I could try and perhaps do a little bit of gap filling with these pieces as well, that would really help. And the other thing that I'm starting to do now at this stage is whenever I spot them, I am pulling out these shaped pieces. And I'm starting to get the kind of the grid lines in, because I'm just finding it's helping to connect it all together. So I'm going to pull as many of those out as I can find, try and get those together, and as many pieces of, say, monkey and bird and things like that as I can, so that I can just fill out a few gaps. So it really is just gap filling to finish it off, and then I will come back to you at the end of this part 1 video and we'll have a wee summary of what I've managed to get done. But I'm so enjoying this puzzle. It's been so much fun, but it's been very different to how I've done other puzzles. It's largely, I've never really quite known what I'm gonna do next with it, so it's been keeping me on my toes, but oh, it's been really good fun. So anyway, I'm just gonna get on with that just now. Okay, so that brings the first half of this double section to a close, and I'll probably have a lot more to say when I've actually finished the double section and put it together with the first section. But just by way of a kind of a summary for this particular half that I've done, I'm going to start off with a gripe, and it's my only gripe, and it's actually something I meant to mention in the first video, but I forgot about it, and it wasn't as prevalent probably because there were less pieces in, obviously it was a single section. So it's to do with the pieces, and it's the fact that one of the things that has a tendency to happen in this puzzle that I've noticed is that the pieces get stuck together a lot. And I don't mean that they have not been cut properly, I mean I'm talking the wrong pieces get stuck together. I'll show you in a picture. So often they are like flipped around, so there's one way and one the other. But in every case, even, you know, when they're not flipped around, it's the wrong piece that's got stuck. And I don't know if it's just something to do with the shape of the prongs, whether, because some of them are kind of hooked, they have like a wee hooked shape, or maybe it's the shape of the gap in some cases, I don't know. But there's something about the pieces that just mean they tend to stick together a lot. And whilst that's not a problem in and of itself, in this case, they're extremely difficult to get apart without damaging the piece, and I actually did damage a couple of the pieces trying to get them apart, and I have no choice but to take them apart because they don't belong together. So that was really quite frustrating, because not only did I on occasion rip some of the image off, particularly on the prongs, I also you know, in some cases I bent the pieces, and I tried several different ways to try and get them apart without damage, and I did succeed in some cases, but I just couldn't seem to find a sort of a foolproof method for doing it without damaging them, you know, every time. So that was just a gripe I wanted to mention because it happens often enough to make it frustrating. And I'm just going to put this out there. If anybody else has done this puzzle, or is doing this puzzle and has noticed the same thing, if you have a method for getting them apart without damage, then please do let me know, because, you know, I don't want the puzzle to be damaged. It's just a real shame. But that's the only gripe I'm going to say. Everything else about this puzzle I absolutely love, and I loved building it. I loved building this section. I loved building the first section. The first section was challenging in a much different way. That had a lot of green pieces, but that isn't gonna be as big of an issue with these two sections because there isn't as much green. It's a lot more open. There's more water. The story of these two sections is the story of just all the floating islands. I mean, I think it's partially because it's a double section, so there's more area to cover, but there's a lot of flying things, a lot more butterflies and birds and things flying around in these two sections, and they just, for a good long time, the puzzle was very bitty. And it really just became kind of a mission to try and attach as much together as I possibly could. And there are still some standalone bits, you know, bits where it's 2 and 3 pieces that are together, just like a butterfly floating. And yeah, it meant I was around the puzzle a lot, back and forth, up and down, going back and forth between piles of pieces and things like that. So it was a very bitty puzzle to do. And it also meant that it's probably the puzzle where I've not been able to stick to the plan the most. Like, I generally don't make a rock solid plan. When I sort the pieces, I sort of have a rough idea of where I'll go, but in this one, I was changing my mind all the time, like which bits I'd tackle next. Piles I would delve into that I didn't think I would do till right to the end. The lions in particular and the water, I didn't think I was going to be doing till near to the end. So it's really kept me on my toes, this puzzle has, definitely with the build. But I've just enjoyed it so much. For me, that's just all been part of the challenge. And I think one of the most joyful things about doing an Educa puzzle is that the images on them are just so stunning and bright and vibrant. It's just such an immersive experience doing it that every section I do, whether it's bitty or not, is just so fun and enjoyable to do. I'd say probably the most satisfying and enjoyable bit of this half of the puzzle that I've done so far is this area here, the bottom right corner, where you've got the leopard and the 2 deer and the flamingos and the flowers. It takes up kind of a goodly bit of the bottom right quarter, and the animals are, there's like enough animals for it to be really varied and enough colour. I love doing the flamingos with the bright pink, and they're big enough as well to really make you feel like you've kind of progressed. This was another drawback with having lots of bits. You kind of don't really feel like you're progressing much. I mean, it was obvious that I was, but you know, with it just being so floaty, I didn't feel like I was really getting anywhere with it. But certainly with this bottom half, I really did feel that way. It made it really satisfying to do. Same with the lions. I enjoyed doing them, but really the satisfying thing about the lions was just the fact that it was such a big chunk of puzzle, and having finished it, I really just felt a really big sense of achievement having done that. But the whole thing has just so far just been really, really fun. I can't wait, once I've finished this, to attach these 2 to the first section. I'll have only done 3 of the 10, so I won't even be halfway through, but I just think it's going to look so amazing. And already it's going to be massive at that point, because I will have done over 10,000 pieces by that point. So it's just incredible. It's an incredible puzzle. I really enjoyed it so far. So moving forward into the next part of this double section, I would say, again, I suspect plans will change a lot, but I would say I'll probably be maybe delving into some of the more obvious sections, like the pink flowers and the red flowers up at the top here. I really think I'm going to be like just delving into these trees, all this foliage up here, which is really going to be good for getting all these kind of floating sections together. So I'll be really digging into those trees to start with, tackling the vines and the creepers and things like that, and then probably move on to some more water areas, and then finishing up with the greens. I suspect the greens will come last, unless I decide to pick at them like I did with kind of the light coloured pieces in this first half. Might possibly be that I'll do that, I don't know, but I suspect that might be one part of the plan that doesn't change, that I'll do the greens last. And I think they will be challenging, but nowhere near as bad as the first one. So I do not regret mixing the bags. I think this has been really good fun, a really good kind of tester to see if I'll maybe do it again. So I hope that you have enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like on the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please do consider subscribing. I have, after this, these 2 sections are done, I have 7 more bags to do of this puzzle, so there'll be all that to come, and so many other awesome puzzles that I've still got to do. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will say goodbye for now. Happy puzzling, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!